want to be clear, right? The point of this in practice, and again, I've been transparent that I haven't necessarily done all these things, but I think these are some of the things that I've seen that hopefully if you take away, hey, maybe there's one thing I can implement, right? These are a couple of things that I've thought about, right? Is, if we start at the beginning, right? Determine your long-term goals of the sales development org and drive towards that consistently, right? So we've talked about that in the last couple of slides, but having that as your driving factors is massive. Number two is hire first-line leadership that's sold before or had a strong ability to be customer-facing. I think there's a massive opportunity for your sales development team to learn from their immediate manager. And I think having somebody that's been in their shoes or sold at that product or the tech or the company, especially in a very tech-centric world that it's candidly difficult, right? There's a lot of challenges with the technology. There's challenges in terms of being able to understand why a customer would find any value in the technology. I think having that as a leadership principle in terms of hiring is massive to help drive towards ultimately the outcomes you want. This is kind of an interesting one, but I believe in prioritizing sales development reps to follow the entire deal cycle and actually incentivize it as a metric. Right? This might be something that up front you're paying reps for that you might not see any inherent value. But I think making sure that your reps are incentivized to stay with opportunities they find throughout, and they get to see experienced sales reps come in and close deals based off the work that they sourced. It's a fantastic way that doesn't really cost you anything, but it helps get reps way more up to speed, because anytime you move from sales development to sales, there's a massive learning curve in terms of being able to, go from, hey, I found an opportunity to, hey, I closed an opportunity, and being able to see more and more of those at-bats is extremely helpful. Going back to a bit on the enablement, right? It's not just, let me teach you my product and you go sell, right? They need to understand, or you need to be able to communicate consistently, the industry, the value that the product has to the customers, and essentially the foundations that you would need. A good example, my time at Oracle, when we came in as sales development reps, we learned a lot of what is this database technology. But 99% of the people had no idea what a server was or a computer was or what the basics of the industry was. And not having that foundation meant that you're just regurgitating the same, key points or whatnot. You're not able to have real conversations. You're not able to understand. So I think prioritizing that is massive. Making sure you have a clear path to promotion. Sales development reps want to move up. They want to move into new roles. Making sure that they understand where they can go from there. Listening to your reps. I think sales development reps are great for understanding where the business is at, what the kind of feedback they're getting, listen and understand their challenges. And then around compensation, just a couple ideas I had, right? Things that you want to prioritize, but things like meeting progressed opportunities, close deals, right? Give sales development reps a kicker or something in terms of closing a deal or a deal they find closes. That's a massive incentive for them to find real quality pipeline, not just, pipeline to hit numbers. Number of meetings facilitated or sat in on sales cycle, right? Back to the point number 3 or conversion rate of opportunities. I think ultimately the key here is prioritizing outcomes versus activity, right? Again, the Discord is a lot around activity, and I think it really needs to be more about outcomes. When I was a leader, I couldn't care how you got 10 meetings a week, but if you got 10 quality meetings a week, that was fantastic. So last kind of key takeaway is that investing in sales development with the same focus as direct sales organizations provides long-term, dramatic, and measurable value. And that's it.
Awesome, Ian. Thank you so much, bud. We got a few minutes here for Q&A. I got two questions that come top to mind.
Sure.
One, you mentioned about like a path to promotion, right?
Yep.
I found historically that many people in that BDR, SDR role, so they're like super new most of the time, right? Like it's new to work type of folks. And they have a very unrealistic time frame. Have you found that in the past, and how do you manage expectations around that?
Yeah, I think they do, but I also think sometimes there's no clear path to that next step that's given, right? And I think sometimes it's the uncertainty of having that, right, feeds, to your point, some of the unrealistic expectations, right? If I don't know how long it takes or what I need to do to get the next level, there's this on the back of that, right? There's the mentality of I want to get up as quickly as possible. And to be fair, I was that same way. And I think in hindsight, the fact that I had to take extra steps or I had to spend a little bit longer in roles ultimately was to my benefit. And I think, that's a challenge that you have to work, with the leadership to be able to coach to. Because when you're fresh out of college or university, it's a lot of instant gratification, right? You want to get up and move as quickly as possible. But having that clear path helps, at least set the expectation.
Cool. And in the last minute or two here, I think you're bang on in terms of like people tend to gravitate towards building comp structures or management structures around activity. And really what we care about is managing to outcome, right? Yeah. The tension comes from how much the rep, the BDR or SDR or whatever they're called, is in control of that ultimate outcome, right? You're trying to find like a healthy, you're trying to find like a healthy balance between like, hey, I know it takes effort. I want to reward the effort, but ultimately I care about the outcome. So here's a taste, right?
Yeah.
So how do you find that right balance between those two things?
Yeah. And I think there are metrics that we know lead to some of the outcomes that you want, right? Certain activity metrics, potentially, meetings, right? Metrics that we use, pipeline opportunities. But I think inherently, like, the problem is you can't view sales development completely separate from sales and say, well, if they just, hit all this activity metric, right, they're going to be happy and motivated, right? I think from what I manage, the reps love to see deals close, right? Yeah. And I think what you do is, instead of saying that's the only priority, right, you can't just comp on closed deals. It's not realistic or fair. But giving that extra incentive or the above and beyond incentive for those kind of deals, I think what you'll notice is you're still going to have the activity metrics. You're still going to have people hitting the phones and potentially producing, quantity over quality to a certain extent. But I think you'll see that shift start to push into them doing their own qualification, them understanding what a real opportunity looks like, and a little bit more enthusiasm, motivation, seeing their hard work turn into something, right? So I think it's a gradual conversation, right? You can't do one or the other entirely.
Awesome. Ian, thank you. We're at time. Really appreciate you joining us. Topic was super interesting. For those listening who maybe want to reach out, or they maybe just want to keep an eye on you and see where you end up landing, what's the best way for them to do that?
Best way is on LinkedIn. Definitely would love to connect with anybody. Happy to have just conversations around this. I think it's something I've seen and been very passionate about. So thank you for the time today, and looking forward to anybody who wants to reach out and connect.